Okay, so plugins. Okay, so by default, Vim doesn't come with any plugins, so you have to install the plugins yourself. There are so many different types of plugins for different purposes. Say if you're using Vim for your TypeScript editing, there's a plugin called, let's see, so let me clean up my plugins. So on Vim script, if you see a quote, if there is a double quote in front of a line, that means it's a comment. So if that means it's commented out. So I'm deleting those. I don't need. Okay, so let's see. Okay. So by the way, I'm using DD. I'm pressing D twice to delete a line, and to repeat the last command, you can use dot. That way, you don't have to do same thing over again. So yeah, getting rid of things I don't need. Let's see. We don't need this. We don't need this. Let's see. So this is my vimrc file for my plugin. These are all the plugins I use. I'm not gonna go through each and every plugin, but I'll try to explain those I think are important. So for instance, this plugin right here, the neovim TypeScript. This is for the TypeScript auto-completion. If you Google like Vim plugins, you'll have the description. So I would say all of them come with the README file of how to install it and how to configure it. So the configuration, let's see. So these are my vimrc files. So this is for my OmniSharp configuration. I got it from the GitHub page. So this is how, say for instance, if I press my leader key and FU, OmniSharp will help me find usages for that particular property or function or class or interface. This is a TypeScript. This is an auto command. A file type is CS, which stands for C#. And if the file is a C# file, and this means I'm trying to translate what this Vim script is saying, or what this Vim script means. So if I press leader and FU, then run this command. And CR means carry return, which means press enter. So what it's doing is it's entering command mode and typing this and then pressing carry return. You can do it manually on a C# file. You can type this command right here and you can press enter, but instead of typing and memorizing all the command, you can just map it. In Vim it's called mapping. You can map your leader key and FU, so every time I press this key right here, this particular function or command is executed. Okay, so these are all the configs for the OmniSharp. This is for my Deoplete. Deoplete is an auto completion plugin. for JavaScript JSX files, for Vue. If you're familiar with Vue, it's a JavaScript framework just like Angular and React, and the JSX is basically the React files. So key mappings, these are my key mappings. So nmap, this is how you map a key. So if I press Control and this closing square bracket, so this particular command is executed. This is TS type definition, which stands for TypeScript type definition. So let's say if I have let's go to my Angular project. Let's do component and let's see. Okay, or let's do service. Okay, so this is my TypeScript project, and so I'm trying to I'm giving you an example of how Vim mapping works. So this is saying is what this is saying is if I press Control and square bracket, just type this command, right? So I can type this command directly to my command to the Vim's command line and press enter, or just press the shortcut key or the mapping Control plus square bracket. So let's go back to the Angular file. Okay, so I'm getting an error. This plugin is called Syntactic. Whenever there's an error, this symbol appears, and what it's saying is, so if I move my cursor over there, you see on the bottom it says event meter is declared, but its value is never used. So if I want to get this error or warning, I can just delete and delete it from the constructor as well. What happened? Okay. Okay, I don't know what happened over there. Okay, so this mapping right here. So this is a service, an old service. So if I want to go to this definition right here, so I can press Control and closing square bracket. It will take me directly to where it's declared. I can do this to any. So this is my constructor, and if I want to go to the old service, I can move my cursor to the old service and press Control and square brackets, and then it takes me to the old service. So in Vim, I have not mentioned some of the basic things on Vim. I'm sure you'll find something online, like splitting windows, how buffer works, just to give you an idea of what I mean. So if you want to work on multiple windows on Vim, you can just press Ctrl W and V, and it will split Vim vertically. And if you want another split, you can do Ctrl W and you can press S. So you'll have another split. And if you want to do that again, and you can do this, and you can do vertical split, so you can work on multiple files. For now, let's stick with one window. Excuse me. Okay, so that's how the typing works, and so this is the save session configuration, and this is very important. So this is my vimrc configs, tags, and this is for my theme. I'm using a custom theme. So my Vim, it looks like an Atom editor. So I created the theme based off of the Atom editor, the one dot theme that comes with Atom by default. So this is the theme. This is where's the theme? Yes. So this is yep. This is the theme, and you'll find the theme file right here. You don't have to go through the code. I just customized a theme called Solarized and changed all the colors. So yeah, okay. So this is auto indent, auto write, clipboard. This is something which you have to read about on Vim. The clipboard kind of behaves in a different way if you're on a Linux machine, if you're on Windows or Mac, and if you want to copy a text from a text outside of Vim and try to paste it, you might see a weird behavior, and that's something which you need to go through the documentation. It's simple. This is while ignore. So what this does is I'm for my file management, or you see this nerd tree. This is called nerd tree. It's a plugin. So whenever I open up a project, I don't want to see some of the node module folders or the bar components, and if it's a .NET Core project, I don't want to see the Bean folder. So this is where you exclude those files. So you just put down the list of files that you don't want to be part of your project, and Vim will hide them for you. That way it's convenient for you to work with. And this is called Vim Airline. You see the one on the bottom. So this is not part of Vim. It's a plugin. You have to install it, and to get the icons, you have to install Power Fonts. You see these icons. This right here. This is the get icons. And this is the type of file, and this is the encoding, and this is the name of the file that you're currently working with. So what else? This is your undo directory. This is where it keeps track of your undo tree, and this is your backup dir. If you close files, and if you run out of battery, Vim always save the last copy of the file you work with and this directory, and you can set this directory this path to wherever you want. And this is the startup. Yes, so I mean, you can go through the configs of there's so many configurations for all the plugins I mentioned to you. And now let's go back to the plugins. Okay, so auto pairs. What are auto pairs? Auto pairs is let's open up. Let's say I'm trying to add a function, right? This is one function, and I want to add another function. So let's say sample function, and when I press open bracket, Vim will automatically, it's not Vim actually, it's the plugin will automatically close the bracket for me. Vim doesn't do that automatically. You have to install the plugin for that, and the autopair is doing that. And if I open up a curly brace, I'll have a matching closing brace. So that's the Vim autopair doing the matching. So yeah, that's what autopairs is for. Control P. Control P is a fuzzy file finding plugin. So instead of, let's say, if I want to open up a particular file, I can go through each directory, look for it, and open up the file. That's one way of doing it. But instead of like browsing through the file, I can use my plugin, the Control P plugin, and press Control P. You see on the bottom? So I can just type a file name. It doesn't have to be the complete file name, but just part of the file name. If you type part of the file name, it just gives you a list that is that has the same or similar name. So say for instance, if I want to open up my generate component, I have, I think, generate AC. And in order to go up and down, you can use Control and then use the J and K. Hold down the Control key and you can use the J and K. So let's open up the generate component, and I press Enter. There you go. This is my generate component. So that's the Control P. Indent line. So the indent line is, you see these lines, so if I indent this one, you see these lines, this is the plugin, the indent line plugin, showing you how many tabs or spaces you have. So yeah, that's indent line. Light line Vim. The light line Vim is this right here, the one you see on the bottom. This one is for Tmux. This is coming from the Tmux, and this one is coming from the light line. Okay, and a node tree. Yeah, node tree, I use it heavily. This is basically the node tree. Okay, and split join. So this is for so let me show you an example. Okay, let me open up my authorization module. Let's not this one. Let's open up some file and show you what I mean. This is the app component. Yeah, so this should do it. So you see this right here. So these are the modules that I'm importing from Angular.rar. It doesn't have to be an Angular file or a C# file. So in this case, I have these modules, right? And they're all inside the curly brackets. But I want to split them in multiple lines instead of one line. So what I can do is I could press G and capital S, which is G stands for go and S stands for split. So if I press G and capital S, see, everything is split up, and I can do the same for this particular line as well. So if I press go and S, go and S, so it's split into multiple files. So that's what the split join is doing. Vim repeat. Vim repeat is so the dot command. I suggest you read about the dot command. What the dot command it does is it just repeats what you did previously. So, but it only works for the dot command. Only works for the commands that come default with Vim. But if you're using a command that is part of a different plugin other than Vim, it doesn't work. Say for instance, this command, the go split command, is coming from a plugin. It's not part of the Vim. So unless I install a plugin, if I press the dot, it's not going to repeat my last command, the last command I used. But this time, since I have this Vim repeat command, if I press the dot, so let's do it. Go split, and if I press dot, you see, it's able to repeat the last command for me. So I don't have to press G and capital S. Okay, so that's what the Vim repeat command does. Pattern light. This is the theme for the light line. There are different themes. I can change the theme by saying so airline theme, and if I press D, let's see. How do I change the theme? Let's see how I can change the theme of my airline. Airline theme. Yes, so you just type in airline theme, and you just press space, and you can press Control D. Airline theme, and then space, and you press Control D. These are the list of the airline themes. So if I say, for instance, if I want to use the cool theme, I can press cool. You see, now it's blue. Blue airline theme. But I'm using minimalist, so for now let's just use the airline theme. By the way, it's not going to save this unless you put it on your vimrc file. It's not going to save your change. So minimalist. Okay, so this is what it does. Vim CSS color. Okay, so this is a color highlighting plugin. What that is let's say I have a CSS file. Hold on, let me close this one. We don't need this one. Let's look for a CSS file. Okay. Something that has color in it. Components, and let's go to the CSS or components and the CSS. Let's don't we have okay, so this is commented out. Let's look for something different. Colors, not this. Okay, this should do. You see this right here. So background color FA. This is hexadecimal CSS representation of this color, so it will highlight what color that is. So and this is back, and you don't have the highlight. So this is what the Vim CSS color is doing. New site. This is a new plugin that I installed for my C# auto completion. For some reason it's not working, so I left it there. I have to get rid of it because I don't use it. And the Vim Markdown. Vim Markdown. Oh, okay. So if you're working with the Markdown files, this is a nice plugin. It will pretty much format a Markdown file. So that's what it does. I don't use it much often because I don't work with the Markdown files. Maybe once in a while when I start a new project. So yeah, this is editor config. There's some projects, some Node.js projects, and some companies they have a formatting standard, like how many types for the indentation, how many spaces, all the formatting rules. They put down a .editor config file in the project. So based on that, your VS Code or your Atom or whatever editor you're using, it will adjust the tabs and the formatting. So that's what it is. This is Vim Solarized. This is a theme, a Vim theme. So if I change the, let's open up. So if I change the theme, so how to color scheme? It's called color scheme. And if I press Solarized, Solarized. So this is a Solarized theme. So this is what this plugin is doing. It will install a Solarized theme for you, but for now let's do the this theme right here. Okay, and Node-tree Git plugin. This is a nice one. It's part of the Node-tree integration. I'm sure you know what Git is. So I have Git initialized in my project. So whenever there's a modification in your directory or in your file, you see these dots right here. It means this file has been modified. And this is the Node-tree Git plugin, showing you the icons. You see this X, red X, that means something has been modified. Okay, so that's what the Node-tree Git plugin means. Okay, so SparkUp. SparkUp is for writing HTML files. If you're writing like a complex HTML tags, let's see, we should have let's take this HTML file. So if I press div, let's say if I want to create a div file, right? So I have to type the opening and the closing tags by myself, and let's say and if I want to add a header one sample, so this is how I would write in most editor, but I can write this in a faster way, like this, div and then h1, div h1, and if I press Ctrl E, there you go, bam, I have all the tags ready, and I can write whatever I want inside the HTML. That's one way of doing it. Or you can do like let's say div div and I can give it the class name like my class, and inside that div I can have as a span, and if I press Ctrl E it will expand that for me. See, I don't have to write each and everything, and I can do like li times 3. I think that's how it is. I'm not sure. Yes. So this is how. And if I want to wrap up those 3 li's into ul, which is commonly done, so I can do like this, ul, and inside that ul I want 3 li's, and then if I press Ctrl E, bam. And if I want each li to have a specific class, I can do like this, li dot, I'm giving it a class name, let's like sample class name, and then if I press Ctrl E, there you go. So yeah, that's a pretty nice plugin. So that's the Vim Spark Up. Okay, this is a highlight. On Vim, you need to have a syntax highlighting plugins for your TypeScript or your JavaScript or your C#, Python. Okay, and this is YATS. This is for my TypeScript syntax highlighting, and this is another one, and this is for the auto completion of my TypeScript and Vim TypeScript, because I work with Angular and React. So if I press this dot, see, this is my TypeScript auto completion, and if I or other service, and if I press dot, I can choose function or property or method. So you can. By the way, I'm scrolling through these auto completion by holding Control and by using N and P. P is going up, previous. P stands for previous, and N is for next. So, or I can use Tab. The Tab doesn't work unless you have a plugin installed for that. I think it's called Super Tab. If you install that one, it will work. But for now, I'm used to using the Control N and Control P. So yeah, so that's the TypeScript configuration, the NVim TypeScript. OmniSharp, same thing. That's for the C# auto completion. Let's open up .NET Core C# project. Here's a C# project. Let's say if I press a unit of work, you see OS stands for like OmniSharp, so unit of work that. So it will give you the lists, and let's do notes, and so I can add notes equals, yeah. So that is the OmniSharp. Deoplete. So Deoplete, this is the general auto completion plugin. So all these, the OmniSharp plugins and the NVim TypeScript plugins, without the Deoplete, it doesn't work. So you have to have Deoplete installed and configured for other autocomplete plugins to work. And there is another plugin called You Complete Me. You can use that as well. I had issues configuring it with OmniSharp, but for now I'm using Deoplete. So on my vimrc file, I have this if condition. What this if condition is doing. So if it is on an NVim, if I'm using a neovim, just the way you install this plugin is this way, or else, which means if it is a Vim, so you have to install these plugins as well, right? So this is what this function means, because I use my vimrc not only for my neovim, I used to use it for my Vim as well before I changed before I started using neovim. So this is what so basically this vimrc file you can use it for vim as well. That's what it means. So yeah, the super tab, that's the tab for the auto completion. If you want to use tab instead of control N control P, you can use super tab. You can install super tab. Vim syntax. This is an error checking, syntax error checking. There it is. You see these two these signs. Whenever there's an error, that's the syntactic giving you information. If let's say profile component. Yeah, so this is an error. So in order to see what this specific error means, just move the cursor to where the error is, and on the bottom it will give you the description. It says user is declared but its value is never used. So if I get rid of this, that means the error is gone because I'm not using it. So this is what syntactic does. And I believe this is for, it works for TypeScript only. I'm not sure. You might have to install a different plugin for your .NET Core projects. Okay. Togbar. Togbar is basically so you can have I don't have a mapping for that, but let's go into command line mode, and if I type in togbar and if I press enter, okay, I don't know why it's not showing me. Oh, let's open up okay, let's type in togbar. There you go. So this is the togbar. You see on the right hand side. So it's giving you information about the current file. So it says project API, that's the namespace, controllers, another namespace, and events controller. It's giving you a class and the methods. It's like a summary of your class. And if I press P, it just gives me a preview of this particular method or function. If I press P, so this is what tagbar does. So if you are reading like a big file of someone else's code, so instead of like going through the file line by line, you can open up your tagbar and see all the methods, the summary of the file. So yeah. Okay. Duplete Turn.js. I don't think this should be here. I'm not sure what this does. Oh yeah, so this is for your JavaScript auto completion. If you're using a vanilla JavaScript, this will help a lot. It will give you an auto completion for basic JavaScript functions like split, join, and all that good stuff. Yep, and that's what it's for. And this one, Vim CSS3 syntax. This is the syntax highlighting for your SAS, or I mean for the CSS files. Also, it works for the SAS files as well. Vim align. This is the one we talked about. This is called the Vim align. This is the plugin, and you have to install the themes, and yeah, these are additional Vim align themes. Yeah, Vim buffer surf. This right here is for surfing the buffer. So every time you open up files on Vim, it will put it in a buffer. You see, this is my buffer. So these are the list of files that are currently open. You don't see it, but it's on the it's in the buffer. So if you want to switch between buffers, what you can do is, if you have this plugin installed, you can just go into command mode and you type B, which stands for buffer, and I think BP, buffer previous, to switch you back to the previous buffer. Or you can do colon BN, buffer next. If you want to see what's there on your inside the buffer, you can just type in ls, go into command line and type in ls, and it will give you the list of buffers. Or you can give it a number, which buffer you want to switch to. So it's basically like a Windows tab kind of thing, alt tab, sorry, on Windows. When you want to switch between different windows, you use alt tab, right? So this is basically the same. Okay. Vim commentary. This is for commenting files. So let's say if I want to comment this file, this particular line, I can go into insert mode and I can type // Well, that's one way of doing it, but if you have that plugin installed, you can just do GCC, which is G stands for go. What do you want to do? Like, so go CC comment. So if I do GCC, it will comment it out for me, and if I use the same command again, it will uncomment it. That's pretty cool, right? And this works for any file basically. So if I have an HTML file, let's say, let me open up this HTML file, and if I want to comment out this line, there you go. And if I want to comment this one as well, there you go. And the best thing is that with a combination, if you combine it with the Vim motion, it's much more powerful. So if I want to comment everything that's inside this tag, what I can do is GC internal tag. You see? So it has commented everything inside that tag. So if I want to comment this div right here, let me separate for you, that way it's easier to see. So if I do GC internal tag, this internal tag, bam. Excuse me. Yeah, and if I do so the keys I'm using is GCIT. Oh, sorry. Okay. So GCIT. You see, it's commenting this tag right here. Undo. And if I do GCIT, there you go. Or I can do not only internal but also external, which is the outer A. Remember? So if I want to GCAT, that's for the outer tag. And I can also comment the whole file if I want to. So I mean, you can combine it with the Vim motion, you know what I'm saying. So you can combine it with the Vim motion and you can do a lot of things, and it works for HTML file, it works for CSS files. I don't have a CSS file, there you go. So I can uncomment this one out by pressing GCC. So that's for a single line. Okay. I don't know what this is. Vim Fugitive. Yeah, so this Vim Fugitive is it's a Git plugin for Vim. So let's see. I have this file, right? Let me close my tag bar. I don't need the tag bar. Okay. So this is Vim Fugitive. So this, it is saying that these lines are added, and this lines there's a line deleted. So with Vim Fugitive, you can do like go into command mode, and if you press git diff, and if I press gdiff, sorry, gdiff, and if I press enter, so it will give you a diff of what files have been deleted, have been added. Yeah, this will get the vim fugitive giving you the difference. Okay, vim git gutter. This is called the gutter, and yeah, that's what it's for. Vim indent guides. This is for the indent lines whenever you use tabs. Yes, vim easy align. Okay, this one is for, let's say, actions. Yeah, so easy align. I don't have a file. Okay, that's a g log. Let's say, okay, yeah, this will do. Oh, what did I do? Okay, yeah, this one. So okay. So galign, what galign does is the vim easy align. So let's say I have this code, right? So I want to format it, and it doesn't look good. As you can see, like the equal sign is kind of like messed up, right? So with galign, I can select this bunch of text, and I can use the command GA. So it's waiting for me to enter a symbol. How do you want to align this code? I want to use the symbol equal to. So if I press equal to, there you go, bam, everything is aligned. Or I can use using single quotes. I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but let's see. Nope, it didn't work. Yeah, so that's what galign does. Let's say if you have an import statement or service, you see this import statements, and you want to format it, I can use that using goalign, and let's align it using this square brackets. See? So yeah, that's what galign is for. Okay, Vim Surround. Vim Surround. This plugin is for let's say we have this statement, right? So I want to change the single quotes into double quotes. So what I can do is change surrounding, and you give it a symbol CS and single quotes. So CS single quotes, change the surrounding single quotes into what kind of symbol? Double. I press double quotes. So I didn't do that fast enough. Maybe that's why it didn't work. So let's do it again. CS, and there you go. You have to do it fast. So you see the single quotes are changed into double quotes, and this works for tags as well. It's very powerful. Let's go to HTML tags, HTML files. So yeah, let's say I have this div, right? And inside that div I have these contents. By the way, the way I'm selecting the contents inside the div is by using VIT, which means select internal tag. And if I want to include the outer tag as well, I can expand the selection by using AT. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it is. So if I want to change this div, if I can do it manually by like selecting this and by pressing C, change, and then I can type whatever, like span, and I have to find the closing tag and do the same thing again. That's one way of doing it, but you're more likely to make an error, especially if it's a complex HTML file. I don't think that's feasible. So what you can do is just use the plugin by using change surrounding tag, CST. And what do you want to change? The div into span, right? So SPAN. If I press enter, there you go, automatically it's changed. And this works for brackets as well, like so I have this function right here. So this function is surrounded by like the French braces, right? If I want to change these French braces to square braces, what I can do is I can position my cursor somewhere inside the plug, and then I can say change surrounding square brackets, French braces. So CS French braces, and I press to what do you want to change the French braces into? Square brackets, right? I press square brackets. There you go. There you go. So excuse me, the French braces are gone, and we have square brackets. Yeah, so that's Vim Surround, Vim Tmux Navigator. So this is I use this for navigating between Vim and the Tmux window. So on Tmux, I have this two windows, right? I have this. I'm switching between two, the editor and the Vim. You can give it a name, like you can call it like Vim editor, and then this one you can change it to. So this is the Tmux, and Tmux has panes. This is called a pane. You can do like terminal. You can have your server, your backend server, running right here, and then you can have your Vim file opened up here, and or you can hide this this pane by using Control A and hold on. So Control A Z. So I have the server running in the back, but you don't see it. So hold on. Yes. That's what it's for. Okay. And so you see me navigating between those two windows. That's the Vim. Let me exit this one. So that's the Vim Tmux Navigator. Okay. Where is it? Tmux Navigator. Where is it? And in order to search a word in Vim, is you just use the backslash and then type in the word and press enter. That's search for for Vim. Vim and unimpaired. I'm not sure what that is. Match tag. That is something to do with matching tags. And this is the undo history log. And Vim dev icons. This is for the dev icons. These icons right here, and also for your Control P plugin. This is the Control P plugin. It will give you these icons. TS, I think that stands for TypeScript, and this is for JSON files, and this is a markdown file. Yeah, so that's what it's for. yeah, so once you have these plugins in your vimrc file, the way you install it is I'm using plug like I said. Just press go into command mode and just type in plug install, and it will install all those plugins. And if you want to update the plugins, you can use let me reload my file. And if you want to update your plugins, you can use like go into command mode and type in plug updates, and it will update. New files. There you go. I'll update you more plugins. So excuse me. So you see, yep. And this will give you a description of what has been updated. Okay, and that wraps up the plugin section. And thanks for watching.